Hey, what's up, fellow anglers? Aaron LeSieur here, and I got a fishing report. It's for Folsom Lake, and I got one word for you about that lake this week: brutal. I was out there Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday, and I got to tell you, the bite out there is not easy. I mean, it is really, really tough. I caught one fish on Sunday, 0 fish on Tuesday, and 4 fish on Friday because I kind of had a little bit of a pattern figured out. Now, I tried a bunch of stuff. I've got like 6 rods on my deck here, a bunch of other baits that aren't on rods that I used. I fished all over the place out there. I fished over at Granite Bay in the rock piles. I fished over at Beals. I also fished the dike over there. I fished the peninsula. I went up north, fished a few coves, and then I fished that big flat right where it turns there, right before you get to the rattlesnake launch area, I think that is. I could be wrong. I don't know what launch that is up there after you make that big right-hander. So I've got a lot of the stuff that I used here. I'm going to show you. It's a summertime pattern out there. There's some fish up shallow. I've talked to some guys and heard of some guys catching them in the trees and a little bit of top water when the sun gets up and it positions them in that shade. And I've been seeing them in that 16 to 25 foot zone, and they're schooling up out there all over the place. They're schooling up. Some of them are schooling up on the rock piles, and then some of them are schooling up out there on submerged trees and submerged brush. Now, I got the aqua view out there when I saw lots of arches in one area, and I wasn't getting bit, but I wanted to confirm what was down there. So I threw the camera down there, and sure enough, there were I found pods of fish, 20 and 30 fish in these huge schools cruising around. So I'd back off and throw the kitchen sink at them, reaction style, super slow, finesse, basically everything I could think of at the time. There's only a few things that I didn't do when I was out there. But let me back up before I get to that. Let me show you the current conditions that are out there. They haven't really changed for a whole week. They've pretty much been the same. It's been hot, the water's been hot, and it's gonna be super hot this week. You know, triple digits till like Friday, which means I don't wanna get out on the water. I was out there Friday afternoon, I was melting. So those conditions aren't gonna change for at least the next 7 to 10 days. So this bite, what they're doing out there is pretty much this summer deep water pattern, and it's still, like I said, extremely tough. But I tried everything. I told you all the areas I went to. I've tried a float and fly, a Senko. What else? So let me just show you. Let me get up in here. I'll show you the baits that I got that aren't on the rigs. I tried a Nico rig with a nail weight robo worm, 6-inch margarita mutilator. I tried a Green Flash, I think that's what this is called, Senko, nail weighted, 5-inch, weightless. Now this isn't a Senko, this is a Bass Pro Shops. It's the closest one I could find that had a really, really cool, clear shad pattern on there. 2 tones, kind of laminate, really, really, really natural looking. Tried that weightless. Now these baits, obviously I threw those on the bottom when I saw those fish on the bottom. I did throw a Ned rig, I don't have it here. I broke that one off, and then I stopped using it. But the first fish I caught on Sunday was on a Ned rig. It's smallmouth, caught it on the fall. I threw a float and fly, and I really don't know that much about it. I don't throw the float and fly at all. It's the first time I've thrown it. I went Fisherman's Warehouse this week and picked up a bunch of gear to try it because I thought maybe a lot of these fish are moving up and down that water column that I could get lucky and maybe figure out there might be a float and fly bite. No, at least not when I was throwing it. I threw this Duo Realis spy bait. Thought I was going to smoke them on that. No. So those are all the baits that I don't have rigged up on rods. Let me show you some of the other stuff that I tried. Just trying to go through all the things I can think of that fish are going to bite in the summertime. You know, when they're schooled up and suspended in that neutral state where they're not in a feeding pattern, they're just a holding pattern. They're neutral. And so I tried to get them to react. I tried a spoon right there, tried to spoon a few of them when I saw them around bait. That didn't catch anything. I did try some top water. I had the Whopper Plopper 110 out there in a bluegill pattern, nice and clear. The water's really clear out there right now, so I wanted to get as natural colored baits as possible. I thought I did throw an A-rig as well. I don't have that here on the deck. Actually, it's up here. I can pull it down and show you in a second. Tried a spinner bait. This is a deep runner spinner bait. This is Persuader. No, it's not Persuader. It's Revenge. It's got a Damiki little paddle tail swim bait on the back of it. These deep runner swim baits, they're heavier, a little heavier on the head. Actually, I take that back. It's a ½ ounce. The way that they make them deep runners is that the blades are smaller. Those willow leaves are really small. So what happens is they don't have a whole lot of lift on them. So a deep running spinner bait is going to have a smaller willow leaf to keep it down in the strike zone or down deeper when you want it. So you can get that. You can actually get heavier ones. A 3/4 ounce and a 1 ounce would work really good if you want to go really, really deep. Which I don't have any of them. I probably would have used a 3/4 ounce, but I was able to get that one really deep, bounce it off rocks, pull it up by the submerged trees. Like I said, everything you can think of, and I didn't get bit on that. I'll come back to that one because that's the one I did get bit on. Here's my float and fly setup. Sliding fill, balsa wood, little bobber. I had this thing set at, so it would go down 18 feet. That was the length before it hit the bobber stop. So I had this thing and threw it way out there, threw this little, I'll tell you what this is. I got it right here. I saved the packaging so I could tell you guys exactly what I had on that setup because I thought I was going to smoke them. But that little Spro, that's the Spro fly, and it's the 1/8, and it's a shad pattern. It's the blue shad. So I thought I really was going to get into them on that. They're chasing the shad out there. You're seeing the bass bust around. When you're out there around you, they'll come up and smash some of these shad on the surface. Had that thing set at 18 feet. Saw the fish down there. I made sure I was in that zone where they were, and I kept throwing that thing around. Couldn't get them to eat that either. I also did try a drop shot, and let's talk about. I did tell you I caught that one fish on the first day. That first day I was focusing on rock piles. I saw them all over rock piles. I threw all these down baits. I threw a jig. Like I said, I threw these nail weighted jig or Senkos, robo worms, anything that I could get down there deep by those rock piles, and I tried drop shot, everything I showed you. I caught that one on Ned rig. I used the Ned rig, netted Ned rig all over the place out there on that first day fishing all those rock piles in it, and I got nothing. So on day 2, which would have been Tuesday, I decided to go back out to some of those spots, and that's when the first day I threw slow baits. The second day I said, well, these fish are all in a neutral state. Let me try some reaction stuff. That's when I went out and threw a bunch of the reaction stuff. Then on Friday, I said, oh, I'm going to try this float and fly. And that didn't work. And then I noticed a bunch of these fish in that 20 to 25 foot zone, really about 16 to 25 in the trees and in the brush. So I got this bait out. I needed something weedless. So I've had this hook in my box forever, and I really don't use it that much. I can't even tell you who makes this thing. It's got a small little weight on here. I don't even know what the weight is. I want to say it's like a 3/16, somewhere right around there, because I wanted to get the Senko down there a little faster. So a belly weighted hook will work. The nice thing about this, it's not belly weighted. When you try to thread it on a belly weight, you have to thread it over the belly weight, and it messes up the Senko a little bit. This has got, I guess you could throw one of these on there. It's got a little corkscrew keeper on there, twist and lock on this worm style hook. So I just twisted the Senko on there, and I've got this perch 5-inch Yamamoto Senko. And what I would do is I'd find the area where these fish were, and they were loaded up on these trees, and I'd throw it out past it, wait for it to hit the bottom. And then I would basically pull it up through the tree, let it come down and just fall into the tree again, and just keep pulling it through that brush. And then fish were hitting it on the fall. Sometimes they would hit it as it hit the tree or come through the branches. And I caught 4 fish doing that on that very last day. What I did is I went on my boat on out there and looked for any trees in that zone, and I looked for arches. And then I would get my camera down there to make sure that those fish were in fact bass, because I did go into one of the places I didn't tell you that I fished was also the Browns area, Browns Ravine. There's some carp down there, so sometimes you'd get see these arches and it was just carp. So I found a few areas like that, and I basically ran that pattern on Friday. Finding the trees, pulling it through the trees. It still took a lot. I didn't whack them, but I only fished about 3 areas because I found this pattern late in the day and it got really hot and I wanted to get the heck out of there because I was melting. So I would go back out there and repeat this pattern again if I was going to go back out there again and find more trees like that to try to find the better bites, because I didn't catch any. These were all largemouth that I caught, and none of them were over 2 pounds. So I would have to run around to find an area that had the bigger fish. And that was a deep water pattern. I wanted that deep water pattern because that's the most stable one. Usually in the summertime, they group up and you got to find those right schools. So I caught them on that. And then I did try, I saw some of those other fish around the trees. I thought maybe I could get them with a drop shot, pulling it through the brush that was down there, a margarita mutilator. I made it weedless. I have about a 18-inch leader on this one. I didn't get bit on that either. So the only thing I got bit on was pulling this Senko through the trees. And like I said, what I didn't do, a couple things. I haven't thrown jigs, like a 1/2 ounce hula grub over the rock piles. That's one thing I haven't done that may work. And I didn't deep crank, which I would like to go back out and try to maybe get a crankbait through some of that brush and those trees to get those neutral fish to bite and react. I haven't tried that yet. And see, the jig, the crankbait, there was one other thing. Oh, and flipping the trees up shallow. I did hear that there was a bite like that going on, flipping the trees in the afternoon when the sun came up and it created those shade pockets. And so I would, if I was going to go do that pattern, which is something I haven't done that I'd like to go out there and do, I would hit just as many trees as I could and in that 8 to 10 foot range, flip, and just run and gun that and move fast, and then also throw some poppers around there. I didn't throw poppers. So there's some techniques out there that I haven't done. I didn't go fish south because I wanted to focus mainly on the main lake. Like I said, it's hot out there. The boat traffic wasn't too bad. It kind of winded down a little bit. Kids are back in school, so I did go out there on Sunday, and Sunday wasn't that bad. So that's basically what I did. I did not smash them. I put a ton of time out there. I tried a bunch of different stuff. There's still some stuff that I haven't done. Fish to your strengths. They are, like I said, they are up shallow in the trees, the willow trees, whatever kind of trees those are, in the shade. You can flip them, even though I haven't done it yet. And I verified and confirmed those fish. There are a ton of them out there in that 20-foot zone on rock piles. I didn't catch, like I said, I only caught largemouth. I didn't catch any spotted bass, which I thought was weird. But I did see them on the aqua view. So I still got a couple things I'm going to try out there. I don't think I'm going to get back out there this week. I'm going to actually fish some new bodies of water. I might get back out to the Delta, mix it up a little bit. That bite out at Folsom is just so tough. And it's going to be super hot this week. I don't even know if I'm going to get out maybe in the early hours, but it's going to be really, really hot. So that's what I did out there. If you're catching them out there, put some comments down there on what you guys are doing. If it's something different that I'm missing out there, maybe you guys got some good ideas of the bite that's going on out there. Make sure you always hit the like button, subscribe if you already don't, and then make it on the YouTube channel. There's a little bell right there if you want to get notifications for future videos that I do. I do have some more coming out that I'm working on this week, so stay tuned for that. I'm LeSieur. Stay focused, fish hard, and I'll see you out on the water.